Hello, I'm glad you've joined us for WVU's Energy Express. I'm Joel Brown and I'll be your host for the next few weeks. We're going to go on an adventure. We're going to read lots of stories and great books. We're going to go in the kitchen and cook. We'll go outside and explore frogs and leaves and how things grow. We're going to build a balloon car and a helicopter and even learn the chicken dance. So get ready, get comfy, and let's go.
Today's activity is sponsored by STEMCARE. STEMCARE is a collaboration between Mylan and West Virginia University to develop and implement STEM programming that instills a growth mindset in West Virginia's youth. Growth mindset is the understanding that people can improve their abilities and intelligence through dedication, practice, and hard work. It refers to growth and development, such as learning from mistakes, not just trying harder. Children with a growth mindset understand that changes are opportunities to grow and that making mistakes is an important part of learning. Design-based learning activities like the one we are going to do today are particularly well suited for fostering growth mindset because they allow kids to hone their problem-solving skills in fun and creative ways. Throughout these STEM activities, we will use the engineering design process. The engineering design process is a series of steps that engineers follow to come up with a solution to a problem. The steps include things like imagine, plan, create, improve, and ask. When performing the activities at home with your child, you can promote a growth mindset in several ways. Intelligence is like a muscle. It grows stronger with training. Explain to your child that the brain can get stronger and smarter the more they work it. Celebrate mistakes. Children often get frustrated when they face new challenges. Remind them that we learn because of our mistakes, not in spite of them. Harness the power of the word yet. If your child says, "I can't figure this out," reply with, "You haven't figured it out yet. What could we try next?" Praise the process. When we focus our praise on the learning process, children are empowered to keep trying. Try saying things like, "Great job, you must have worked really hard on that," or "I like the way that you tried different strategies to solve the problem." And finally, model a growth mindset. As adults, it's important that we model a growth mindset in our own learning and abilities. What happens now? Okay. Take a deep breath. You ready? Today's STEMCARE activity is balloon cars. You can find a lesson plan for this activity on our website. The materials we're going to need today are tape, straws, scissors, skewers, some cardboard, balloons, and some material to make wheels. That could be something traced out of cardboard of various sizes, or you can make plastic wheels out of bottle caps, or in this case, we bought a few little wheels that we're going to use. It's always a good idea to have a ruler handy, and a pencil is useful too. All right, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to do for our balloon car, here we can see our prototype, is we need to have a chassis. And the chassis is really important. It's really considered the body of the car. So we're going to use cardstock to make our chassis. And you can see, various sizes will work. This is a bit bigger than an index card. All right, so what else do you notice about this car that's really important?
Has wheels.
It has wheels, right? And it's important that those wheels move.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna make our own axles for the wheels. To do that, we're gonna use straws. So let's each grab 2 straws. Yeah, and we're each gonna need some tape too. Okay, so for the axles, we notice that our straws are a little bit longer than the chassis itself. So we're gonna cut down those straws so they're just about the same length as the cardboard or a little bit less. Oop. There you go. Now we test that, you can see that's pretty good. It's about the right length there. So now that I have one cut, I can use it as my example to cut the other size. All right, so what do you think we're gonna need to do next for our car?
Tape the straws.
Tape the straws down, that's a good idea. Now it's important when you're taping it down, make sure the tape kind of snugly fits around the straw so it holds it in place and it doesn't wiggle a lot. Nice job. All right, now are these actually the axles themselves?
No.
No, what are they?
They're just there to make sure that the wheels stay to the chassis, but they don't like aren't taped down in one place.
Right, they're just the holder of the axles, and they'll allow those axles to spin freely. So we're going to use skewers to make our axles. For our wheels, you could make your wheels out of cardboard if you wanted to. You could trace that with a pencil and cut around those. Or you could also use bottle caps. We're going to be using these little plastic wheels that we bought. So which ones would you like?
I want these two.
You want these two? You want two other?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll use these. All right, so when we're creating our axles, we want to make sure that the hole is in the center of our wheel and that the skewer fits snugly around that. This one's pretty snug. Does yours fit? Mm-hmm. All right, mine does too. And I'm gonna put it down through my axle holder there. And what do you think about where I should cut my skewer? Should I put it really, really close to the edge of my chassis?
No, you should keep just a little bit of room, but not too much room.
Why do you think that is?
So that it doesn't bounce around.
It doesn't bounce
Or it
around. If it was
doesn't-
too big, it could go back and forth.
Or it doesn't make friction.
So if it was too tight, what could happen?
It could create friction.
It could create friction, right? And then it wouldn't spin freely. So we want to have enough room there to give it a little bit of play. So I'm going to cut mine here. And some skewers you can probably cut with scissors. This one is a little thick, so I'm going to use this cutter here. All right, so you have your one wheel on. I have to put my other one. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other axle. Perfect. Now test your wheels to see if they turn smoothly. Good job. All right, so we have the body of our car, but do we have a motor?
No,
No. And what are we going to be using today for the motor of our car?
we're going to be using balloons.
We're going to be using balloons. So you notice the prototype here has the balloon and the straw. So let's get one of our bigger straws. All right. And which color balloon would you like to use?
I think I already got white.
You like white. Okay. Now, when we're looking at our balloon, you'll notice it has this larger piece at the end. And we don't want to have that for our balloon car, so we're going to have to snip that little piece off. There you go. All right, and then you're going to place your balloon around the straw, placing the straw inside the balloon. And you don't want to do that like too close to the edge of the balloon, kind of, but not too far in either. I would say with your straw about 2 inches or so inside the opening to the balloon. And this part is a little bit tricky. So we're going to need to tape our balloon around our straw so there's no air openings. So when we blow it up, all the air only comes out the end of the straw. So to do that, it's best to wrap it around like this so it's nice and flat against the straw. Sometimes an extra little bit of tape around the bottom edge is a good idea to ensure you've got a nice tight seal. So when you test your seal there, go ahead and blow it up and then listen and feel for any holes.
Mine has a hole.
Yours has a hole? Okay. And so what are you doing to correct your hole?
I'm going to put more tape on it.
Gonna put some more tape on it? All right, great.
I don't know where the hole came from.
We could test again.
Looks over here maybe?
Okay. So sometimes if the hole is just too big and you can't find it, it's a better idea just to start over again and retape it. So untape it and retape it. So let's try the fix, and if it doesn't work, we'll try it again. Yeah, so I think for this one, we'll just want to start over again. There you go. Nice tight seal. Okay, so once you've got your seal on your car, we need to attach our motor to the chassis itself. So to do that, we're just going to use tape. And the positioning of the balloon is kind of important, and you can test this out because it's easy to change. But one of the things you need to consider is that we don't want the balloon too far off of the chassis because as it deflates, it'll fall underneath of it. But we also don't want it too far in the center. So let's go ahead and tape our straw down. Now we have our finished balloon car, and we can go ahead and test it. Today's activity helps us experimentally prove Newton's first and third laws of motion. Newton's first law of motion says that motion or lack of motion will not change unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Newton's third law says for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The source of force in our balloon car is the balloon. So when we add air to our balloon, it is an unbalanced force that propels our car forward. For the third law, think about the direction of the air that's coming out at the end of the straw. So when we set our car down this direction and let go, air is blowing in the equal and opposite direction of the car's movement. So by working on your car, you are experimentally proving those laws. One thing you might look at your car and its movement is how you can make improvements. There could be some things that happen when your car is running that make it not as good as you had hoped it to be. So if we look at our car, you want to check out how easily those axles spin. If you notice there's a lot of friction between the edge of the chassis and the wheel itself, you might want to fix this by creating a longer axle or adjusting the wheel slightly so that it doesn't have any rubbing against the chassis here. Some other things you might look for if you notice your car is going really well and then towards the end it starts to slow because the balloon is dragging underneath, you might consider adding some improvements along the front to hold it up better. Other things to watch for are how parallel your axles are. If they are kind of crooked, that can cause the two axles to sort of work against each other, and it might not move as fast as you like it. Look at your design and try to find other ways that you can improve and make your race car faster and better. All right, Ben, so why don't you tell me about some of the improvements you made in your balloon car?
Yeah, so I just added this extra flap to keep the balloon from touching the ground, and then on the back I put like a popsicle stick to keep it like sturdy. And then I also added some fins because they look cool and they also give it some extra speed, baby.
Great. Well, we can always test those innovations and see if they work.
Yep.
Great. So make sure that you look at your design and create some cool innovations of your own. Remember, improving our car helps us learn and also helps us find new solutions to problems we didn't even know we had.
How do you create a generation of problem solvers? Show kids that they can imagine big ideas and turn them into reality so they can change the world. Help them see their future selves so they become the problem solvers of tomorrow. How do you create a generation of problem solvers? Use a curriculum that gets results. With real kids, in real classrooms. Our curriculum design is research-backed and proven to significantly improve engineering and science outcomes. Use a curriculum that levels the playing field. Reach every kid, every learning style. EiE breaks engineering stereotypes by showing kids that anyone can be an engineer. Use a curriculum that innovates today's classroom and transforms the landscape of education one classroom at a time. Our curriculum is the first of its kind, designed to engage kids in brand new ways and change the way they look at the world around them. How do you create a generation of problem solvers? Design experiences for today's classroom, but with tomorrow's world as your vision. Today's thought leaders and classroom innovators make EiE what it is. Show that it works. EiE is tested in classrooms everywhere. Provide eye-opening professional development to help change how teachers look at education. And bring it all together in a curriculum that opens young minds to the world of engineering. We engineer. Start early, because today's 3-year-old is tomorrow's engineer. EiE for kindergarten. Begin a lifelong love of STEM. It starts with problem solving. Engineering is elementary. Engage kids in creative problem solving to bring their inner engineer to life. Engineering adventures. Open new paths and possibilities with hands-on engineering. Engineering everywhere. Make any time engineering time. How do you create a generation of problem solvers? EiE. For more information, talk to an EiE representative today.
One of the key benefits of introducing young children to engineering is that it exposes them to a new way to solve problems. Whether they're designing bridges or windmills, children proceed through a similar series of steps. These steps are the backbone of all engineering, the engineering design process. At Engineering is Elementary, we've developed a simplified 5-step version of this process that children can easily learn and understand. Encouraging children to use these steps reinforces 21st century skills like critical thinking, teamwork, and creativity. The best way to understand the engineering design process is to see it in action. In this video, we will watch children as they ask, imagine, plan, create, and improve solutions to engineering design challenges. In the process, they will learn valuable problem-solving and thinking skills that they can use in other areas of their lives. Before starting any project, all engineers, children included, must ask and answer questions about the design challenge. During the ask step, children should be encouraged to think about what they need to know in order to solve the problem they're presented with. Some questions might be about the science behind the problem. Others might be about the specific goals of the technology they're creating. And others might be about the materials that they're going to have to work with. In this clip, we see 3rd graders in Fairfax, Vermont practicing the ask step. Sandy Brown has introduced her students to a design challenge in which they need to use a mirror to reflect the light from a flashlight to different parts on the inside of a box. She challenges her students to think deeply about questions they need to answer in order to produce a successful lighting design.
Now you get to ask me questions. We're going to be in the ask stage right now. What do you want to know about this project? Lexi.
What kinds of materials are we using and how
What
many
type of
materials? Do you get different light sources to see what you're doing?
Yes.
What properties do materials have?
So I'm going to stop for a minute, and what I'm going to do is show you the first one. I'm going to show you what materials will be available to you.
Asking students what they need to know, rather than telling them, provides an opportunity for students to think critically about what exactly the problem is and how they might start solving it. The ask step helps them to begin to identify as problem solvers. Let's take a look at another class, this time in 5th grade. The teacher, Deborah Kelly Thomas, is having students review what they know about magnets to prepare for a magnetic vehicle challenge. At this point, Kelly's students have spent several hours on the ask step. They've explored different types of magnets and how strong they are. They've looked at the materials that they'll have available during the design challenge, and they know how their vehicles will be tested for safety and efficiency.
Remember, we're still in the ask phase, so I want you to stay on the front sheet. And in the packet, it's asking you to list 2 properties of magnets that we can use that will help us to design our maglev package transportation system. Okay, let me share with you what Corel put. Corel says, property 1, the repelling of the poles. She said this property is important because if you don't put the same poles together, the train would not levitate. Okay, so that's a property of magnets that's going to help her in designing her maglev system.
Although students continue to ask and answer questions throughout the unit, this first step provides all learners with the baseline information they need to know to move forward. In the second step of the engineering design process, Imagine, students start to brainstorm solutions. In this step, the goal is for students to independently come up with ideas, and they're encouraged to think creatively and without judgment. Individual students may respond differently to this type of challenge. Some students may not be as used to imagining more than one way to solve a problem. For others, brainstorming multiple possibilities is a true strength. As a teacher, it's important to acknowledge both the struggles and the rewards of navigating the Imagine step. In this next clip, first graders are imagining different ways they might move pollen from one plant to another by hand. Their teacher, Julie, explains what she expects of her young students as they go through the Imagine step.
If we started with ask, where are we today?
Imagine.
We need to go to Imagine. We have 4 different boxes, and you know what I'm hoping for? I want you to imagine one way of building a hand pollinator and drawing it right here. Label your pieces, your parts, label it so you know what you planned there. Then think of different materials and a different way to make a hand pollinator for box number 2. And yet a different one for 3 and another different one for 4.
The Imagine step allows students to experience the innovative, creative thinking style that has led to many of the world's engineering breakthroughs. In this next clip, Corey Christensen prepares her 3rd graders as they start to imagine solutions for an aerospace engineering challenge. They're to design a parachute to land on another planet. Before they brainstorm, Corey provides examples from history to impress upon her students the importance of thinking outside the box.
How are some of the most important inventions created? By imagining them and just crazy, outrageous ideas that many people said there's no way that could work. Do you think everybody thought a person could go to the moon?
No. Yeah.
No? What do you think that a lot of people probably told them, Justin?
You can't do that.
Impossible. It's impossible. You can't do that. And so if they just said, okay, yeah, you're right, I'm gonna stop, then we wouldn't have airplanes. We wouldn't have been able to go up to space. So there's a lot of different things that are there because people do imagine all these possibilities and are brave enough to take that step.
The Imagine step reinforces that there's more than one way to solve a problem. It prepares students for the next step, plan, where they'll focus more deeply on the one design they want to create.
So when you get together, you're going to be combining all of your ideas together. And this is what engineers do, is they come up with all these individual Imagine ideas, then they come together and they talk about why would it work, why wouldn't it work.
As Corey explained, during the plan step, groups of students must choose one Imagine idea that they'll further develop and test. Back in 1st grade, Julie introduces the plan step to her students as they choose designs for hand pollinators. Her comments focus on teamwork, encouraging compromise and collaboration.
It's time to make a plan. Draw a diagram on this big box now. Out of all 4 of those, which one do you like the best? And add labels so we know what materials you're using and how they're connecting. Are you ready? Okay. Tell me what you have here. Do you guys agree on this plan? Do you like it together? Oh, great teamwork.
So let's say number 3, but we'll just bend number 3. How about that? So it'll be half of my. It will look like your idea, but it will do the things that are in my idea. Draw by.
I love how you are writing your supplies and drawing what you think it's going to look like. That is great thinking. I'm loving your cooperation there.
After discussion, the group records their final plan. They know that they're about to actually create this technology, so they're motivated to label their drawings and write down the materials they're going to need. Only after students have asked and answered lots of questions, imagined several different ways to solve the problem, and come to a consensus about a plan should they move on to the create step. In this step, students will follow their plan, build, and test their technologies. Needless to say, create is usually the most exciting step for students. Children are very excited to see their designs in action. Sometimes they work as expected, and sometimes they don't. Let's watch a group of 4th graders as they test the model membranes they designed and created. When designing a container for a frog, they used various materials to try and reduce the flow of water to a slow drip.
In the middle, down in the middle.
What do you think?
Too fast.
Too fast?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, look, it's already like, yeah, that water's gonna be gone by
All right, well,
tomorrow.
what can you do tomorrow to improve?
Put a sponge in it.
The improve step is fundamental to the process of engineering. It's important to give your students time to improve their designs. When given the opportunity to improve, students can think critically about what parts of their design are working well. Just as importantly, they can carefully observe what doesn't work. When failure is presented as a learning opportunity and a critical part of engineering, students come to accept and expect it. In this next clip, we see Grace Schofield in the improve step of the engineering design process, as she leads her 5th grade students through the design of a high-quality Play-Doh. Notice how she stresses that the improve step is never complete. Indeed, it's just the beginning of another iteration of the engineering design process.
I'm seeing lots of interesting things going on, all right? Jordan, tell us what's happening at your table.
Oh, we added, like...
What? You went ahead
Yeah.
and added?
Yeah.
What step is that?
The improvement?
You're going to improve the improvement?
Yeah.
Do you see how this is a process? Once you keep doing it, it goes going on and on and on, and you're not done?
Just like professional engineers on the job, your students may not move sequentially from one step of the engineering design process to the other. They may transition back and forth in order to solve the problem at hand.
If you don't do the design process and you want to build something or help with something, you don't know how you're going to make it, and you don't know if it's good enough because you're just going to build it, and you don't know if you need something or if you need to improve something, and it might not be sturdy enough, so you need the design process.
As they practice using the engineering design process, children come to understand that each step in the process is unique, and each represents a critical part of engineering.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed today's show and that you'll try some of these activities at home. We'll see you next time. See ya!